Hey, this is Johnny. You are tuned in to Ugly Brown Boy. You can find this on all podcast channels, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
You and I for a lifetime of fun,
Oh, hey.
more than love
What's going on,
in
guys?
my
This is episode
infancy.
4, I think, right? Episode 4.
Dizzy with the
But we're in
thrill of
June, and um, yeah, I should have recorded this sooner, but whatever. But happy Pride Month to everybody out there, to everybody that cares. Happy Pride Month. Um, I figured this episode I would share my coming out story. I just think that it's important to share. And I think the more we know about one another, the more we realize that we are not entirely alone and that our stories may or may not be completely different or incredibly similar. And it is that similarity that we kind of want to weave together so that we don't feel alienated and alone. So I want to tell my coming out story because um, some of you may be struggling with coming out right now. And my words on that are do it for yourself and don't do it for anybody else. Don't do it because you think certain people deserve to know. Don't do it because you think family deserves to know or whomever. I think it's important that when you do this, it's for yourself so that you can have a handle on how things play out. Because I did not have that opportunity when I came out. Um, I will start with the fact that I grew up in the church. I grew up going to the Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church in Manhattan, and I was pretty active there. I think we were all pretty active, but very conservative church. Um, it is Presbyterian after all. I won't get into what Presbyterian is and, you know, all of that stuff, all the differences, because that's not my wheelhouse. It's not in my bag of tricks, but I will say that it was conservative. Um, when I was in high school, I think it was middle school or high school, we went out to visit a pastor friend of my parents, and it was in, I want to say Simi Valley, or I don't know, it was some valley. There's so many valleys out there, but it was out west in California, and that was when my sister and I, we were together. That was when my sister and I became born again Christians. I will also not get into what being a born again Christian is because that is not what I'm here to do. Look it up if you are dying to know. But it is, from my point of view, a lot stricter. Um, I feel like there are more rules. I don't know. Uh, it's definitely um, more uh, flavorful. I'll say that. Um, the Southern Baptist Church um, is that. Um, so this happened, right? And this was over the summer in the midst of me being in high school and coming out in high school, or if it was in middle school, I can't remember. Um, there was some confusion with that. But either way, there was confusion because with the translation of the Bible that a bunch of white men got into a room to do, they chose the word homosexual to describe and translate a couple of words. That's where it all went awry, and you can look that up too. Um, but it's been a struggle for decades and decades here in this country. Um, so my parents were born again Christians before they came to this country. And I grew up in that type of household, although when we were going to the Presbyterian church, it wasn't as devout. It was a little more chill. But when the born again Christian stuff started happening, and with all of the stuff that I was experiencing as a kid, and knowing something was different about me. And when I started to like boys, that's when it became more challenging and confusing for me because, according to the modern translation of the Bible, gay, bad, straight, good. And so I struggled with that. But when I was younger, I didn't really advocate for myself. I grew up the way I grew up. I was not in a healthy household. And let me say this, it wasn't healthy for me. It's like that when I walk into spaces now. It's not necessarily welcoming to me. So I can't speak for other people. But for me, it wasn't healthy. And I needed to find some kind of acceptance. So thankfully, I had the most wonderful friends in high school who cared for me and nurtured me and accepted me and loved me for precisely who I was. And I will say this, I'm incredibly fortunate to know them today and to share a grown up version of that love. Um, but they were there. And I can't state how incredibly important it was to have them there because to them, I was okay. To them, everything was fine. To them, there was nothing out of the ordinary. And with their love and support, I was coaxed out of the closet, their arms around my back, telling me to come on out. And it was beautiful. I was out of the closet in high school and in the closet at home. So the coming out story goes like this. My parents had their suspicions, and my dad especially. And like so many of us, we had journals back then or diaries. And I don't know when this changed, and I don't know what kind of research was done to accept and discover this. But when I dream, I dream in full color. And I mean, it's really vivid. It is literally like a movie when I dream, which can be bad or good because if it's a bad dream, holy shit, like I wake up very, very unrested. But I guess back then, I don't have the chronology of any of this, but when I was in high school, my father, his knowledge of dreaming was that it was in black and white and there were no vivid colors, blah, blah, blah. So I wrote this entry in my journal about a time when my entire family was out of town and I was left home alone. And it was in a city, and I was describing the city and the buildings and the colors of the buildings and the colors of the granite and marble or whatever. And I spent the weekend with a boy. I can't remember if it was the boy that I had a crush on in high school or if it was just, some random dream character. In any case, I spent the weekend with the boy, and it was so long ago I can't remember if there was anything explicit, if there was like sex in the dream or whatever. But that part doesn't matter. It was romantic, and there was love between the two of us. And so when they got home, I don't know, a week or two later, a month later, who knows? Um, my dad and possibly my mom as well read through my journal, and everything was described really, really vividly. And so it was at that time that I was called down to my dad's office that was in the basement. Um, so I went downstairs to the basement and he just asked me flat out, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not gay." I was fucking terrified. I couldn't believe that he was asking me the question. Um, and he was like, "Tell me the truth. Are you gay?" or are you not gay? And I was like, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not gay. And he was like, I think you're lying to me. And the way my dad was when he got angry was he would raise his growly voice, and it was absolutely horrifying. And my heart is racing right now just thinking about it. So he calls me down and he asks me all these questions, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm not. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. And he's a lawyer at this time, right? My dad was a lawyer. So I was pretty much on the witness stand. And he just kept asking, and I kept denying. And then he kept presenting me with evidence, and I still denied it. And then he talked about my journal, and he was like, what about that time we all went out of town and you stayed home? Who was the guy that you stayed with? I was like, I didn't stay with anybody. He was like, I read what you wrote, and you were with somebody here. And I was like, I wasn't with anybody here. It was a dream. And this enraged him. And this was not uncommon. He was enraged and he was like, you're fucking lying to me. You were here with another guy and you're gay and you keep lying to me. And I was like, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. And I just started crying at this point. I was like, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I was fucking terrified to admit to him that I was gay because I didn't know what was going to happen. So he kept questioning me. He questioned the dream. He was like, in the dream, you described these buildings and places that you went, and you described all the colors of everything. How can you say that that was a dream? Dreams are not in color. And I was like, I dream in color. I don't know what to tell you. I dream in color. And he was like, you're fucking lying. You're fucking gay. Just tell me you're fucking gay. Tell me you're gay. And I'm like, no, no, daddy. No, no, daddy. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'm not gay, daddy. And he kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me to admit to him that I was gay. I wasn't ready to come out of the closet yet. I didn't want my coming out story to be like this, but it was. And finally, through sobbing and through my tears and through, I don't know, in Tagalog, you call it hagulgul. I was like I couldn't catch my breath. I was just sobbing and gasping for air. I finally admitted to him that I was gay. The rest of it after that, I don't remember. I don't remember what happened after that. And even when I would tell this story years ago or soon after, I don't remember. I didn't remember what happened after that. I just remember being forced to admit that I was gay. Like I was on the witness stand in some courtroom drama. And wow, let me tell you, it was traumatizing. So when I share this story, I kind of just breeze through it. I breeze through the crying part like it's, you know, it is what it is. Um, it's the way it happened, and there's nothing I could do to change it. If it were up to me, I would have never made any admissions to my family until I moved out and moved in with another guy. I didn't feel like anyone who didn't support me deserved to know. And I believe that to this day. If there are people in your life that won't support you, won't be good to you, won't love you for being who you are, they don't need to know the details. I know that a lot of people will have things to say about this. I know that it is very contradictory to how a lot of people believe. There are a lot of conflicting stories about how you should or shouldn't come out. And I just don't believe that you deserve to know what it's like to be who I am, what it's like to go through what I'm going through, what it's like to love who I love, if you are just gonna throw me down and stomp on me. I don't agree. I think people can live with their suspicions because that's on them. But for me, entering into a conversation with people that care about me and people that want the best for me and that people that want to nurture me, I think those are the people that deserve to know. I came out to the right people. Jeannie, Maura, Hallie, Michelle, Joe, all those people I came out to. I came out to the right people because when I told them, they didn't flinch. They were proud. They were proud of me. I think it takes a lot for anybody to come out. And God bless you if you have that kind of family that will love you and support you. I envy you, but not everybody has that outcome. A lot of people get kicked out of the house. A lot of people get beat. A lot of bad stuff happens. So what I'd like to say about this is that I'm in a wonderful place now, and the friends that you come out to and the people you meet along the way that you attach yourself to, with whom you become family, those are the people that you should hold on to, that deserve to know all the details about who you are and love them and cherish them because they will be the ones that see you through. So thank you to the Jeannies and the Mauras and the Hallies and the Joes and the Michelles. Thank you so much for what you do to all the little gay boys out there that are terrified to come out of the closet. Thank you for welcoming them, and thank you for speaking softly and kindly to them. Thank you for being their family when they have no one else they can count. You cherish us, and we cherish you. Happy Pride, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Deep in a love, never ending.